How do you continue knowing your worth even in the midst of rejection?
You are someone's answered prayer, and it might not be that person who is currently rejecting you. It could be someone else completely.
If someone rejects you, well, why is your identity so tied up in what other people think versus what God knows about you? Next question. If I have to hold it horizontal, then you know it's a good one. I'm just trying to follow God's direction on this, but could use some advice.
Well, hello you guys. Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back to the channel. I think we have landed on a name for this series. Tori, you said someone messaged you this?
The asking for a friend?
Asking for a friend. You guys ever seen that whole thing where it's just like someone will do something cool and you're like, hey, how'd you do that? I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like they're low-key having relationship issues, but they don't want to admit that they're having that issue. So they're like, hey, my friend is going through this. What would you say?
Yeah.
But really it's what they're going through.
It's kind of a fun name. But
which I feel like is appropriate since these questions are submitted anonymously about relationship issues. And
so we picked 3, honestly, I don't want to abuse this term, juicy questions, 3 different ones. And so let's ease into it. Okay. I'll pick the first one.
All right.
I picked all 3, but.
I know. It's also been such a long day today. We're filming this after sweet Micah is asleep and the camera is currently set up on his toy box.
How do you continue knowing your worth even in the midst of rejection?
I know this sounds cliche. I feel like everyone in the Christian world says this all the time, but it really is true that rejection is God's redirection. And especially when it comes to relationships, you have to keep in mind that you don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you. And you also need to remember that you are someone's answered prayer. And it might not be that person who is currently rejecting you. It could be someone else completely. And so as you're walking through the rejection, I would hold on to the fact that God has something better for you. And the person that God has for you is currently like praying for you. And so to hold on to that hope that, I mean, I remember praying and saying like, God does not give demotions, only promotions. And so he has something better in store for you. So in the midst of
it's everywhere. It's everywhere all the time.
In the midst of the rejection, I think holding on to the hope of the future is really important.
Yeah, what was that verse you were looking up earlier about do we serve man or God? What was that verse?
So it was in Galatians and it was just talking about, are we here to please man or are we here to please God?
And I follow that same thought process as in if someone rejects you, well, why is your identity so tied up in what other people think versus what God knows about you? And so to give someone that power over you to determine your worth, whether they're interested in you or not, it's like, no, that's not a good way to live life at all because everyone will have a different opinion on you. I remember whenever I moved to New York to start modeling up there, you have a mother agent, and the mother agent will submit appointments for you to go potentially get signed with a new agency in New York, okay, or Europe or wherever you go. And I remember me telling God, I was like, God, please don't make me choose between like this agency or this agency. Please like help me make this decision for me. And my agent sent out 7 emails. 2 of them rejected me without even wanting to meet with me in person. Rejection hurts, okay? It does hurt. We're not nullifying the fact that it doesn't feel like someone didn't say, well, you're not good enough. Okay, and then the other 5 I met up with, and 4 of them said no. And the one that said yes to me just happened to be the second best agency in New York City. And so it's just one of those things where like, wow, like all these other people, even agencies that aren't even that good said no to me, but the second best one said yes. So everyone has different opinions and your worth cannot be tied up in other people's opinions. It has to be in God's truth.
Yeah.
Next question. This is a longer one, so hang in there with us. Currently struggling with the fact that my husband's ex fling still lives in the area and is in the friend group. I am in a wedding that she's also in. I see her brother everywhere. I see her parents everywhere. I see her all the time and she doesn't talk to me. My husband is so regretful over what happened and it was before we ever met. Sex didn't happen, but other things did and more than once. I am constantly comparing myself to her and thinking about what happened because I'm always reminded of the situation because I'm always seeing her.
I mean, I will say that I had to walk through this a little bit. I think a lot of people...
It's why I chose it. We can speak from experience to lovely people.
We can. Yeah, I definitely had to walk through this with Chad. I'm here to say it's not easy, right? It's not easy, especially when like you know certain things have happened, and in my head at least, I feel like I always went to like, well, when she sees me, is she thinking about that experience that she had with my husband? And it just like, it created this really terrible spiral in my head. But something that always helped me was thinking about the present and the fact that he chose me, and God created this beautiful love story of us together, and that it's different and there is no comparison. Like that's not the way it works in the kingdom. And what's your end goal here? If your end goal is a healthy relationship with your spouse, that's not going to happen if you keep holding his past against him. And I feel like if it was the roles reversed and Chad was struggling with an ex of mine or something, I would be like, why are you struggling with that? That has nothing to do with my feelings towards you, and why I chose you, and why I said yes to you. And so I think something that could maybe be beneficial to you is putting yourself in your husband's shoes. And would he want you going there all the time? Does he want that hurt for you? No, that's not what he wants. He wants you to feel the freedom of your relationship and the peace that he did choose you. And also knowing that like, when we come to our Heavenly Father and he wipes our slate clean, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And your spouse should be the closest reflection that you will ever have here on earth, to the love of the Father. And so that's what we are called to do. We are called to cover our spouse's iniquities. Like we are supposed to be that blanket for them, right? And so I feel like it's a call up for us women to not hold it against our partners and to move past and give grace.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, if God can forgive him, then so can you. Because ultimately, his premarital whatever was against God. He sinned against God. And so it's important to know that, to not try to take offense for something that he didn't intend to offend you. That doesn't make it right. It just means that this is between him and God. And obviously, if there's ways that you can limit your interactions with her, I think that would be ideal. It's definitely not helping your situation. We all go through these different things where maybe you're afraid to unfollow someone because they bring up these memories, but you don't want to be that person who had to unfollow them. And let me just tell you, let me just give you permission. Go ahead and unfollow that person, or mute them, or do whatever you have to do to protect your mindset, because the enemy will try to use his past against you and against what you two have together.
Yeah.
And so
if he can find a foothold, he'll use it.
Yeah, and so don't give him more of an opportunity than what he needs. And honestly, what's so cool about this is Tori and I say, we have a YouTube channel, right? Here we are. And we're using our past as a weapon against the enemy. Because what do we want to do? We want to be who we wish we had, and we want to share what we wish we knew. And so instead of the enemy getting a foothold on each other's physical past, or say, hey, actually, let's use our past as a weapon against the enemy and say, hey, listen, we made these same mistakes. We held these things over each other's head. And that wasn't healthy. That was not a healthy dynamic that was happening. Yeah. Instead, I'm going to champion her. I'm going to look at her as a new creation that God made her to be. I'm going to walk forward. I'm not going to hold that. And honestly, there's that funny quote that when you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. Yeah. Don't dwell on these things. It's only going to make you upset. It's not worth it. I need to go grab a battery for this thing, and we'll be right back. Okay. All right.
I was literally just sitting here looking at cute pictures of Micah.
He is super cute. Okay. So, last question. Another juicy one. If I have to hold it horizontal, hot dog style, then you know it's a good one. I know a guy. We have been friends for a few years now, and I made it clearer in the past that this was only a friendship. My friends do say it's obvious that he wants more though. He is funny, He is sweet, he's godly. He asked to talk about the sermons on Sunday, and he has told me he's prayed for me over my struggles, and I know he likes talking about faith. On paper, I should be head over heels, but I just don't feel a spark when I'm around him. I don't get nervous or butterflies. He feels just like a good friend. So I guess my question is, should I give him a shot? How important are the butterflies? I know beauty fades, but attraction is also important. I'm just trying to follow God's direction on this, but could use some advice.
Okay, in regards to like, are butterflies important? No. You don't want your life to be led by your feelings. That's not the way God calls us to live. But also, if you don't have peace about pursuing something, then you need to recognize that as well. I think that, you know, there was multiple pursuers in my singleness that like checked the boxes of like, oh, Christian, oh, this, oh, that. But I wasn't interested, and that's okay, right? Like, I was interested in Chad, and...
Sorry.
But I will say, like, I was attracted to you, and there was like a spark. And so I feel like it's a little bit of a tough question, because I feel like the most important part of this is, where is God's peace in the situation?
Yeah. I think the big thing here is, what are you attracted to? And the world is really pushing all this physical stuff. And it matters. Like, you care about someone's height. You care about their activities. You care about all these differences that people come along with. That's cool. But like, what is ultimately the deciding attraction for us? I think that's what's really important for us, because in my previous dating experiences, all I was interested in was like these things. And then heartbreaks, and then you learn from mistakes, and then you go through this, or you do whatever, and you start to develop what maybe is really, really, really important. That doesn't mean that you're still not attracted to the person. That just means that what you're really looking for changes. Because even like the whole idea of butterflies, in Tim Keller's book, The Meaning of Marriage, he talks about that kind of spark. He talks about that butterfly feeling, you know, when he first started holding hands with his wife. And he said that actually faded. And he said, but it would be kind of weird if that maintained. I don't get butterflies when I see Tori. I think that'd be kind of weird. Like, what I feel when I'm with her is I feel home. I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I feel loved. I feel close. I feel like I have a best friend. And so that line that you wrote, it's like, this person just feels like a good friend. Hey, that could be actually a really good sign. And so on one hand, I'm with you that attraction does matter. And Tori's smoking hot, and I am attracted to her. But what also are we esteeming, and what also are we attracted to? Because all the other things you mentioned are like, hey, like, these are actually really good things. And as I pursue a marriage, as I pursue a family, if that's what you want, as I pursue to build God's kingdom on earth, who do I want to do that with? Who's going to be a good partner to pursue God with? Is this person going to want to walk away from God? Is this person going to want to pause and walk slower? Where is this person at? And so I guess that would be my question, is what are you ultimately attracted to?
And I would also say that attraction grows.
Yes.
Like, attraction grows as you grow together, or like you get to know someone deeper. I know that with multiple friends who kind of felt the same way at first, where they're like, I'm not sure. I'm gonna go on the date. Like, he's not like what I thought was my type, and it's not, you know, especially if you had like a bad boy kind of, like, that's who you used to go for kind of thing. And I'm just thinking of a current friend right now who's dating, and the attraction wasn't there at first, but now they've been dating for over 1.5 years, and she's like, oh yeah, that's not an issue at all anymore. Like, I'm so attracted to him because now I know his heart. And I feel like as you get to know someone, that attraction can also grow. And also, like, these are not perfect answers. Like, we're not in your life. We don't see your dynamic. We don't know your friend group. And so I feel like, take this with a grain of salt, but also, like, I keep coming back to the thought of, like, follow Jesus's leading here.
His peace.
And his peace here. Do you feel peace about going on a date, or do you not feel peace about that?
And I'm just gonna end with something kind of funny. We did a video with Jordan Malena a long time ago, and the topic of men are like microwaves and women are like ovens. My attraction to Tori was instant. And I do believe that for her, it could have been instant, but it doesn't matter. It's like, women, like, especially as we pursue intimacy, you have to like heat that oven up. It sounds so weird to say, but it's like, women are different. And so
Emotionally
with
driven.
you,
Yeah.
you may need to experience some emotional connection to this person. And so I would just encourage you, that doesn't mean to go for it. That just means that don't just respond to your immediate impulses, because you never want to be controlled by your feelings. You want to be controlled by the peace of the Lord. You want to pursue that. That's what we got for asking for a friend.
Y'all don't forget, if you have any relationship issues that maybe you want to ask for a friend, we will have the link below that you can submit your questions anonymously and we will answer them.
We will answer them.
Hope this was encouraging. Love you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Adios.